Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Wednesday, the 28th of July, 2021. I got the month right today. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show is brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meaning all your decorating needs. That's whether you want to do this maybe as a business come this holiday time, decorating other people's houses, or maybe you want your own house decorated. Just give them a call or a visit. They're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York, in southwest Suffolk County. 631-957-5106 is the phone number, and the website is liholidaylighting.com. And then swing over to Omni True Value Hardware, not too far away, just about a mile or so away at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. Also on Long Island in southwest Suffolk County, 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town on hardware, mulch, gravel, or supplies you might need to get you through the next tropical storm or hurricane, like a generator or a new pump. Check them out. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. So, a big good evening to everybody. Let's see if Mr. Rayo is on camera. I'm thinking he probably is. Yes, I'm going to let him in now and join the fun and excitement that is the Joe and Joe Weather Show. And here he is. Yes, you're on the air. Hi.
Yes, I was watching you do the promos or the sponsor.
Yes.
Locations or whatever.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So
it's been a fun evening so far.
Well, we had fun here last night, doing it solo, which I've said that we've done the show together now for so long, it's hard for me to go by myself, but I gave it the old college try, and we did happen to go on an hour and a half early, so that's something, because I had things to do yesterday evening. I had to go to Pixley. And pick up a few things. I don't know if you've been to Pixley lately.
No, I have not been to Pixley.
No.
It's the biggest. It's the biggest town over from Hooterville, right?
Right, and I ran into Miss Minnie Pearl.
How about Crabwell Corners?
I have not been to. I've been to Crabgrass Corners, but I have not been to Crabwell Corners. I did manage to meet Miss Minnie Pearl. She was out doing her shopping as well. So it was a lot of fun. I had some errands to run, and I was very excited because I found a local butcher, the Butter Creek Butcher Shop, and I'm gonna have to go there tomorrow because I'm trying to find. I want to get some venison. I want to get some venison hot dogs and venison sausage because. I've had that before, and I have to tell you, they're the best hot dogs and the best sausage I've ever had. So I want to see if I can get my hands on it.
Well, people have been commenting, Joe, that they've been seeing the Circle of Doom.
Yeah.
They've been seeing a thing, and they also somebody said that there's a white hand on my hair.
Oh, good Lord. Lord have mercy. Well, I'm getting, the signal's kind of a little jumpy right now, but it seems to be settling. So just give it a. Okay. So.
Blacked out.
Okay, we're coming back. I had to pull the signal and start again. I tried to switch sources just to see if maybe that would help. It is what it is. What can I tell you? It'll settle down in a bit, hopefully. Yeah.
Tom Contino, she will appreciate that. I'm not even know if she's online right now. Can't Mrs. Rayo fix it?
Yes. If you could fix this problem with the chainsaw, yeah, oh, absolutely.
Well, I'm surprised she's not coming at me with a chainsaw this evening or whatever. Mrs. Ray was not in a very good mood tonight.
And why is that?
Well, I had a library talk at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So she was a little late in. She said, "Okay, we'll have an early dinner," and then the newlyweds, although they're not really newlyweds because they've been married for over a year now, plan to come over and join us for dinner. But they have something wrong with, I think, their microwave oven, and the guy who was going to come to fix it said he was going to be there between 4 and 6 o'clock, and then the dinner was going to be late. I had to leave to start my talk at 5:45. I had to go online and talk to the library who was sponsoring me tonight. 5:45 comes, and I hear my daughter, who's also here on the intercom. She says, "All right, Mom says dinner's ready." I said, "I can't do anything about it now. I got to get ready for my talk." And then she came down and said, "What's going on?" I said, "Look, I need to get ready with the library." And the library guy was there, and he's watching as we're going like. So she storms back upstairs. So I was supposed to be the first one to have dinner, and then as I was giving my talk, my son and daughter-in-law were supposed to arrive, and everybody was supposed to have dinner. But then, after I finished my talk at about 7:10, and went upstairs, where's my daughter-in-law and where's my son? They're still back at their house waiting for this guy to come to fix the microwave oven. He still hasn't arrived yet. So now my wife hasn't had dinner. My daughter hasn't had dinner. I ate my dinner before we had our show tonight. So I'm chicken and potatoes and everything else. So I'm full. They're still upstairs waiting. Well, I think now they're finally going to have dinner. And meanwhile, my son and my daughter-in-law, they're still sitting in their house, probably starving to death, waiting for this guy to come to fix the microwave oven. Nobody's in a good mood tonight.
Well, I'm pretty happy. By the way, let's just.
Well, I've been fed.
Well, that's good. So have I. Just let Steve Lapointe and Anthony Orr are both early super chat hitters tonight. Joe and I appreciate that greatly. Thank you very much. And also, I have the link up there on the chat board for those of you who have not downloaded the free MJC weather app. Here is your opportunity so that you can stay on top of what's going on, and you can even watch the Joe and Joe Weather Show live or on replay right directly from the app. And if you ever miss your YouTube notification, you don't have to worry because you'll get the notification on the MJC app that the Joe and Joe Weather Show is about to go live. And it's all free on Google Play or on the App Store. So just go ahead and click on that link. And also tonight's poll is about, Joe, the severe weather potential for tomorrow, which I think we should discuss front and center. The Storm Prediction Center has anywhere from a 2 to 5% tornado risk for tomorrow. And my question is a simple one. Will we see tornado watches in the slight risk zone that SPC has put up? So far, 52 votes, 56% of the population says yes, and 44% say no. And let's, by the way, also say thank you to Keith James II, who has also just hit Super Chat tonight. Thank you very much, Keith. Joe and I appreciate it greatly. So I pose the question to you, Mr. Rayo. And I'll put the SPC map, which they expanded. Now, the funny thing was, this started off, by the way, with them showing back a few days ago this sort of east-west band of marginal risk in the lower Ohio Valley and completely ignoring the Mid-Atlantic and to southern New England. And I put in my 2 cents last night, and I told them, I said I thought that maybe that we'd see SPC add the slight risk and marginal risk and push everything up further to the east. And then lo and behold, there it was. And now they've actually expanded the slight risk. But this is what kind of impressed me, because we don't, Joe, how many times have we seen 5% tornado risk touching New York City? But that's what we have here, 5% tornado risk for much of New Jersey, almost all of New Jersey, eastern, southeastern, south central, southwest PA, northern West Virginia, southeast Ohio, the whole state of Maryland, just about all of Delaware, and a small portion of northern Virginia. It's pretty impressive in this forecast that they have out for tomorrow.
Yeah, and by the way, while I was waiting for you to come over to me while you were doing the commercials for wholesale holiday lighting by Giannini and Omni True Value, while you were doing all of that, I did indeed become one of the folks who voted on the poll, now up to 59 votes, and I did go for the possibility of a tornado watch for our area for later tomorrow and tomorrow evening.
Yeah,
I do believe we're going to do that. I think you're absolutely right. They even had us, excuse me, before they expanded the slight risk to touch the New York City area. New York was in a marginal category, but even in the marginal category, they had the possibility of a tornado, a 2% possibility. So if they were going for that in marginal, you almost certainly would suspect that in the slight risk area, that there would be a higher probability for tornado activity. And it looks like, Joe, from what I was able to see on many of the models for tomorrow, after about 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock tomorrow night, get ready, because I think we're going to be, the atmosphere is going to be loaded for bear for potential severe weather right smack in our area. I'm hoping I don't lose power while we're doing the show tomorrow night, but it looks like we're going to be right in the thick of things for the show tomorrow evening.
Right, and they had a 15% area in the slight risk of 50 knots or higher in terms of the wind, and they now also added a 5% risk of hail, which they didn't even have any of that. Before we go, I want to get into that a little bit more, but I don't want to ignore what's going on tonight in the upper Midwest, Joe. We have a moderate risk of severe weather here that's indicated, covering much of Wisconsin to just north of Chicago to southeastern Michigan on the lower peninsula. And that includes, by the way, a 10% risk of tornado in that moderate area, right, and a 45, I don't think I've seen this all year, a 45% risk of winds. And since it's in the hatched area, it would be also corresponds to at least a 10% or greater probability of winds of 65 knots or higher within 25 miles of each point. So a 45% risk of 50 knots or higher, and at least 10% of 65 knots or higher. That is impressive indeed, and of course that probably means they got the 2-inch diameter hail, which they do. 30% probability there of hail, and when it's in the hatched area, it usually means that they're talking about hail that's at least a 10% greater probability of 2 inches in diameter. And on the radar tonight, I'm going to swing over there. It's still a little early, but we're starting to see, and this is part of this cold front that's going to be coming through here tomorrow. We're starting to see some hefty showers and thunderstorms developing up in northern Wisconsin, and the Storm Prediction Center. Let's take a look and see what's going on in terms of actual watch boxes. They don't have one up yet, so this looks like it might be more of an overnight event. They actually just issued a mesoscale discussion not too long ago. This was at 22. Actually, they issued this over an hour ago of a potential tornado watch likely up in that area of moderate risk. And they said rapid development of supercell thunderstorms is anticipated in the next few hours, with a risk for very large hail, damaging winds, and the potential for a few tornadoes. Tornado watch will likely be issued before 8 o'clock. So sometime between now and 8 o'clock, we may see a tornado watch go up there.
And when you associate, excuse me, tornado weather, you immediately think of places like in Kansas, for example, or Nebraska, or Oklahoma. And yet, the folks who are looking tornado risk right in the eye tonight are all, for the most part, in Wisconsin, Wausau and Eau Claire, La Crosse, Oshkosh, Appleton. You don't think of these places for tornadic activity. Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, all of these places are in line for potential tornadic conditions here, as you just pointed out, Joe, in the next few hours. So this will be something that everybody will need to watch. Well, not everybody. We don't have to. But we're kind of like in the bleachers right now. We're on the sidelines. What we're watching is going to be part of our weather action here by this time tomorrow. So we should take note of what this system is going to be doing tonight out in dairy country, so to speak, because this could be our weather tomorrow night.
And by the way, let's not also ignore there is a slight risk of severe weather that SPC has in North Carolina and southeastern Virginia, and there's also a working severe thunderstorm watch there. Although when I'm looking at the radar, there's one cluster of what looks like powerful storms moving southward in eastern North Carolina toward the coast, somewhere not too far from Wilmington, probably east of Wilmington. There's an east-west little line segment there that's moving southeastward, and then another couple of stray cells that extend back into northeastern South Carolina, northern South Carolina, almost to about Columbia. So that's the second part of all of this that SPC is talking about. And let me just bring the map back up. I don't know what I did with it. It just sort of disappeared. Oh, there they go. I see what I did. Never mind. There. So you can see the small severe thunderstorm watch that is up there for parts of North Carolina and the slight risk that runs up to the Delmarva Peninsula. Although I tend to think that the northern part of that slight risk is probably not going to see very much at this point. If it was going to happen, it would have happened already. Mark G hitting Super Chat, and Keith James II hit it again. Thank you, Keith. And Mark G hitting Super Chat tonight. He says, here's to us on the flip side, heading towards shorter daylight hours and every day closer to winter.
Oh, dear. They're already starting to think about that, aren't they?
They certainly are.
Has anybody put out a winter forecast yet? Dare I ask?
Oh, I've seen a couple. I saw one back up in June before summer came up. And I don't need to tell you. I don't need to tell you what that forecast was. You can pretty much figure that one out on your own. It's pretty obvious what the forecast is. I mean, it's the same forecast every year.
The Farmer's Almanac hasn't even come out with or the old Farmer's Almanac hasn't come out with their forecast yet. So
no. So what's happened? This northwest flow has been pretty interesting. I mentioned this last night, and I'm going to say it to you. I just kind of I don't want to overstate this, but there's something about this whole pattern that I'm finding a little odd. Maybe it's because of the fact that I'm trying to rack my brains thinking how many years it's been since we've seen these sort of high amplitude troughs show up in the middle of the summertime, because it just doesn't happen very often. And I seem to recall maybe when we were back in our younger days, during the time when hurricanes were few and far between, and most of them recurved off the East Coast. In those days, it seemed to me like we would get these types of troughs to come down in the eastern part of the United States a bit more often. Then we kind of went through a stretch where they almost disappeared. Now they're coming back again. But this has been something, though, Joe, that's been hanging around here since June. I mean, we've really been dealing with this on and off through the month of June and now through the month of July. And because of this northwest flow, we're getting these strong shortwaves that are coming down. And in particular, for the one for tomorrow, is actually pretty impressive. That is swinging down through southeastern Canada, and is going to be the trigger mechanism for these storms. And it's also the trigger mechanism to an extent for what's going on up in Wisconsin and in the upper Midwest with the risk of severe weather that they're seeing there.
Yeah, well, if that ridge continues to maintain its presence into the first part of August, the only thing that we could see here in the Northeast is indeed what is on the screen right now, and that is some kind of a trough or upper low that allows for a persistent northwesterly flow. And that northwest flow also means fast movement. I mean, there's nothing that's going to be hanging out or hanging around here for any long length of time. Quite a bit different than some of the summers that I could remember back in the 70s, where everything was stagnant and nothing moved for days and days at a time. And you were looking longingly to northern and central Canada for it to drop something in and break the back of a siege of heat or humidity or oppressive conditions. But this is a very odd pattern. You're absolutely right. We don't often see this. I do remember in 1979, and I only remember that because I was doing a program at the Mohonk Mountain House to coincide with that year's Perseid meteor shower in mid-August. We had heavy rain, like I think on August 11th, and the rain continued into the 12th, and then it moved on out. And then for the next several days, we had gusty, I mean, really gusty and chilly northwesterly winds. And this again is in the middle part of August. And so this is not something unique. I do remember this happening a long, long time ago, and it looks like it's going to try to happen again in the coming days and weeks.
Well, we have a very strong ridge that has access down from Oklahoma northwestward up into western Canada and goes all the way up. I mean, this northwest flow it has been a busy one. We've had certainly our fair share of severe weather this month. And again, I go back to with these troughs that can continue to drop down into the eastern United States. We're going into the month of August and the month of September. This is going to be something that we're going to have to pay very close attention to once the tropics wake up. And we know that the tropics will eventually wake up. It's just a matter of time. Right now, the pattern is very unfavorable in the Atlantic, and we can get into that and have in the last few days, but we can sort of do a little refresher on this a bit later on. But in the meantime, we've got this strong trough that's dropping southeastward for tomorrow night. And then once that goes by, we are going to get a nice shot of low humidity for Friday after. I think you see the humidity just collapse on Friday in the afternoon, Friday night and Saturday. Saturday, I think it should be a really nice day for the most part, and set us up for the next short wave, which is going to be coming through on Sunday with another cold front and maybe another chance for showers and storms. But I think the system for tomorrow is a bit more impressive than the one we're looking at today. And then we talked about this yesterday, Joe, with this trough in the east, and you see it here early next week. And the one thing I'm concerned about was the fact that the bottom part of that trough is going to try to lag back. And we saw this happen a few weeks ago, and we're seeing it again. The bottom part of that trough hangs back over the Great Lakes and actually forms a cutoff in northwest Ohio. And we start to set up in a southwest flow here with a stalled front offshore. That could be problematic next week in terms of putting us in a position where we're sort of seeing where that stalled front is and whether waves start developing and moving along that frontal boundary, keeping us at least in clouds and maybe even some on and off rounds of downpours, depending on how it sets up.
Yeah, and I can see on the 18Z GFS especially how that shortwave that's coming in for Monday is trying to. Why isn't my thing moving? Oh, there it is. It's starting to move. Yeah, it tries to cut off. Yeah, that looks like a rather unsettled weather pattern.
Yeah.
For next week. And the high that's offshore, there's a ridge of high pressure off the mid-Atlantic and southeastern states that tries to flex its muscles for the latter part of next week into not this weekend but the following weekend. So while this weekend may be dry, especially Saturday, dry and beautiful and sunny and comfortably cool, the following weekend, the weekend of the 7th and 8th, because of that that ridge of high pressure that is trying to pump up like a balloon off the coast, because of that, we may see a higher level of dew point temperatures, more humidity, and there could even be some unsettled conditions in the form of some clouds and scattered showers as well.
Yeah, here's I moved it to next Saturday. We're not this weekend, but next weekend, and we're back to what we saw. We just saw this ridges on both coasts. Ridge off or just off the East Coast, another big high building over Utah and Arizona. So if that's correct, that means the heat is going to flex again in the southwestern part of the United States and actually push up a little bit further to the north. So this is something we're going to certainly keep our eye on. And then, of course, you've got that trough right in the middle. We're pretty much repeating something that we saw back in the early part of July. And this As I've said, I often say the trend is your friend. In weather, things, you get into a stretch of time lasting sometimes months where things just repeat themselves. They're not identical, but there's a certain air of similarity, and you're seeing that here carrying through into the month of August. So we're just rolling along, and I also notice here on this, Joe, on the long range, that northwest flow ain't that far away. And, we're talking about a model, a long range that we're going to look at this tomorrow, and there's going to be a few differences between what we're seeing now and what we'll see tomorrow. And I just look at this and wonder, is the northwest flow going to suddenly flex itself again and push everything further south that maybe, these last couple of runs aren't exactly picking up on? Because that's what the history has been the last couple of months.
Yes, well, this system that we're looking for tomorrow certainly brings the northwest. Actually, it becomes more like a northwest flow by the time we get to Friday. Then that kind of lifts out, and we remain in that nice dry air mass, a nice dry airflow through Saturday, and then another trough comes rolling through during Sunday late into Sunday night. Then that lifts off, and then the next system is the one that we just spoke of, that is trying, or seemingly trying, to cut off somewhere over the Ohio or Tennessee River Valley, and then we're stuck in kind of a blah type of westerly or west-southwesterly flow through a good part of next week. The next system, or the next Canadian trough that might otherwise try to come on down, actually appears to get sheared off to the north of the Great Lakes during, not this weekend, but the following weekend. So we really don't get the benefits of that. And then yet another one pivots around and comes on through as we move toward the 10th and the 11th of August through the Great Lakes. And that may set us up for some nice weather for a couple of days around the 11th and 12th. But again, now we're talking about over 300 hours away. And as you just mentioned, Joe, sometimes you have to look at the trends. What you see 200 to 300 hours out isn't necessarily going to actually happen. There could be some twists, some turns, some changes. So we'll see what happens as we get closer. You may be right. You may see the northwest flow flex its muscles and try to push some of that dry air from Canada back down into our part of the country sometime in the early part of August.
Yep. Ken DPW, thank you very much. Hitting Super Chat tonight. Thank you for the nice compliment, by the way. We try our best, and we just have fun with it. And then I'm glad that it translates well for those of you who are here every night. So thank you very much for hitting Super Chat. Most appreciated indeed. All right, so I pulled up, I've got the 700 millibar, which, I like to look at when it comes to severe weather. And this is on the NAM, on the GFS. I want to go to the NAM model because that at least works a little bit better. And yesterday, this model was indicating some pretty impressive jet streaks coming through. And if you take a look here, now this is for tomorrow morning, you can see all those dark brown and almost black spots that are crossing Ohio into western Pennsylvania. Those are jet streaks. And when you get into those darker spots, you're talking about winds at the 10,000 foot level going up to 50 knots. And the reason why it's important is that you look at this for clues. When you get these little jet streaks, it's a sign that you have some rather strong wind shear going on in the lower part of the atmosphere, and that oftentimes can trigger rotation. And you'll notice those streaks, they kind of peak in intensity across Pennsylvania, and they weaken a little bit, but they're still there for tomorrow evening as they move across into eastern Pennsylvania and western New Jersey, and then eventually also into parts of southern New England. So I think when you look at this 700 millibar, Joe, and the upper trough is kind of swinging down and around at the same time, you're going to have dew points tomorrow that are going to try to make a run over 70, and some good tropical forcing. The only thing I guess maybe to watch out for tomorrow, and there are some hints of this on some of the short range models, is that you could have some renegade cells form out ahead tomorrow morning into the early afternoon before the main thrust comes through later in the day. And sometimes when that happens, you can oftentimes, those lead cells might, let's say, unjuice the atmosphere a bit. And then when the main energy comes with the upper trough, there's less for it to work on. So that's a forecast dilemma for someone trying to figure out where the thunderstorms are going to be and who's going to wind up getting into some of the stronger cells. So we're going to have to watch tomorrow morning to see if some renegade cells form out ahead and kind of stabilize the atmosphere a bit.
I agree with you that we could use something to come before the main system. I've been telling people that much of the day tomorrow, to me, will, my sister, for example, she's going to be going to the Met game at Citi Field, and she asked about the weather. That's a 12 o'clock game tomorrow. And I said, well, what's probably going to happen is that you're probably going to get some spotty light rain at the start of the game. And then really not amounting to all that much, but after 2 or 3 o'clock, I think the rain or the shower activity is going to start getting a bit steadier and maybe a bit heavier. But the main thrust of violent weather, potentially violent weather, thunderstorms, may not necessarily arrive until after 6 or 7 o'clock. So you hear forecast tomorrow saying chance of afternoon thunderstorms. I honestly don't think we're going to see thunderstorms rumbling about in the immediate tri-state area during, let's say, 1, 2, 3, even 4 o'clock. But I think once we get past 6 o'clock tomorrow, that's when all eyes will be on the west and west-northwest portions of the New York City metropolitan area, because that's where those storms are going to be coming from and dropping down. And again, they could be nasty. And Joe, I absolutely agree with many of our folks on the chat board that it may not necessarily be a severe thunderstorm watch that may pop up or be placed in effect from Norman, Oklahoma, that we may just very well see a tornado watch. I think though, what's going to happen is that the forecasters in Oklahoma are going to watch what happens in the next few hours over Wisconsin and gauge what happens there, and then gauge that onto what they plan to do for us later tomorrow and tomorrow evening. And that'll tell the story of the difference, I think, between whether or not we do see a thunderstorm watch or whether or not they go full scale and go tornado watch. I'll tell you what, it seems like with all the thunderstorm watches that we have had so far, and we had like a stretch of like 5 and 7 days or something, some places did get reports of funnel or tornadic activity. Why not just go with a tornado watch and just be done with it? I mean, better safe than sorry.
Yeah. No, certainly all the ingredients are there for that to happen and for them to do that. That, and you, as you correctly point out, that's their job. So we'll let them do their job and see what brings of it. But certainly from what we're analyzing here, as far as what's going on in the upper air and everything else, would not be a shock. And also, I think this is a good time to point out, and this is something that always bothers me, and it's really according to who not the forecaster per se, but the person that is consuming the information. You have to allow for the fact that in the summertime there is going to be a certain amount of variability when you call for a chance of thunderstorms. Some places are even in cases where, I mean, we usually don't see instances where it's widespread wall to wall for hundreds and hundreds of miles. Most of the time you're going to see these clusters or some breaks in between, and some people get clobbered, okay, and some people don't. For those people on Long Island, for example, in southern New England, we always joke about the fact that Long Island is the place where thunderstorms go to die because of the wind coming in from off the ocean, at least in the spring and the first part of the summer. That's what happens. A lot of these storms get killed as they come in from the west, but when you get these troughs that are swinging down from the northwest, that's usually when the thunderstorms do tend to hold together. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm flinging through here the 3-kilometer NAM, which has this impressive line tomorrow morning moving across western Pennsylvania, and then it kind of disintegrates a bit. And also, you see these renegade cells that form around 1 or 2 p.m. that run out ahead of it, and then you just kind of have these clusters that move through tomorrow evening and hang around, and then a couple of other stray cells bottom out. So you have to allow for the variability. If you hear that there's a chance or even a good chance of thunderstorms, yeah, that may very well be the case, but bear in mind, there are going to be spots that are going to wind up not getting. So, I often hear the complaint afterward that we didn't get the severe weather, and, I kind of want to say, well, I'm sorry you didn't get the tragedy you were hoping for. Maybe next time you'll be luckier. I don't know. Keith James hitting Super Chat again. Thank you, Keith. And Steve LaPointe hitting Super Chat yet again. As our audience numbers are climbing, Joe, we have 111 folks. So just let me really quick, for those of you joining late, we have a poll up there, and starting this new thing that I'm able to do on YouTube. So we'll put up a poll every night to talk about whatever the weather issue is of the given day. And tonight, just posing the question about tomorrow. If you're an amateur meteorologist and you look at the maps, maybe this is your opportunity to maybe just express your opinion on whether we will see a tornado watch up in areas from eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, south down into Maryland, Delaware, northern Virginia, somewhere in there. Are we going to see a tornado watch put up or not? So far, it's almost an even split of 80 votes. 52% say yes, we will, and 48% say no, the Storm Prediction Center will not need one. And also, there's a link up there for those of you who don't have the my free MJC Meteorologist Joe Chaffee weather app, so you can not only follow the weather along, you can get your local weather in your location, wherever that location happens to be in the United States, and you can watch the Joe and Weather Show and Weather in 5 live from the app. So you can just click on that link and you can download it on Google Play or on the App Store. And Johnny Quest also hitting Super Chat tonight. Thank you so much, sir. Most appreciated. That Super Chat hits tonight have been pretty good. Thank you very much, you guys. We really do appreciate it. So anyway, you see what the NAM3 is doing. I'm going to bring up the FE3 model. This is one where I've been paying close attention to, A, because it's new, and B, because on a few instances it's actually done okay, although okay is not acceptable. The HRRR has been downright awful most of the time. And if you look at the FV3 for tomorrow, Joe, it's kind of, it's not as robust as the NAM3. The first line dies in western PA. You've got the renegade cells that form out ahead during the day, and a couple of clusters with some bigger thunderstorms, but it's much less organized looking than what the NAM has. So this is a risk. These short-term models are terrible when it comes to trying to figure out what actually happens on the radar. So bottom line is tomorrow, we're just going to look at the radar and play it from there.
Obviously, you would like to see or rely on the HRRR or the 3 kilometer or even the 12 kilometer NAM in this situation to try to time things out. But the GFS is really robust, Joe. If you believe the GFS, they've got this thing coming through like a 40-ton Mack truck. They got it coming through, let's say, at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is way earlier, much earlier than what I was planning on. And by the time we get to 0Z, or by the time we get to showtime for us tomorrow night, if the GFS is right, if you take it at face value, it's moving off to the east of New York City across central and eastern Long Island, and it's all over in terms of active weather. So I don't know who or what model you want to believe. Certainly, we are going to be in line for some nasty weather, and I think the longer it holds off, obviously, the worse it's going to be. That's why I'm thinking that it may be more along the lines of the NAM and the HRRR, although the HRRR doesn't go that far out. It kind of stops at like 18 hours or stops.
Right, you have to you have to look at the 18Z run because that goes out 48 hours.
Right. So it's going to be an active weather day tomorrow. So we'll probably have a better handle late tonight and of course first thing in the morning tomorrow as to just when this is going to move in on us. It's been a while. I seem to remember there was a system we had not this year but last year in April. And we were actually on the air for that one. We made a special thing to go on the air. as that was moving through. That was like at 12 or 1 o'clock. I think that was the one that smashed into Camden and Philadelphia
Yes.
and southern New Jersey.
Yes.
So I'm hoping. Let's hope it's not anything like that.
I believe that was a derecho, if I remember correctly.
It was one of those weird early spring type systems that, and I think we were even passing along. There were like technical papers written about this type of setup in the past that have happened. So this is going to be interesting, and
Yep.
We'll just see what happens.
And James H. hitting Super Chat tonight. Thanks, for James. We haven't seen you on the show, on the chat board in a while, but thank you very much for hitting Super Chat. Joe and I most appreciate it. As I mentioned last night, this is how we earn our living these days, and actually we love every minute of it. All right, on to the Go ahead. I'm sorry.
By the way, I just got, for those of you who were at the beginning of the show, the perils of Renata and cooking and people not showing up for dinner or whatever like that. My wife and my daughter have now left the premises, and they are now on their way to my son and daughter-in-law's house, because they are still waiting for this jerk who promised he'd be there by 4 o'clock to fix the microwave. He still hasn't shown up. So rather than dropping dead and dying of hunger,
can I just ask a question? I mean,
yeah.
May I safely assume that they have a standard regular oven?
Yeah, but she didn't make any plans to cook tonight.
Okay.
She being my daughter-in-law.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So we'll be over there, and we'll have a nice, lovely dinner with the family. And but this and this whole thing with the microwave. The microwave is attached to the oven, and it's a big microwave. And it apparently, what is malfunctioning is the LED that gives you the numbers. On the thing. And so this guy apparently had to get the part, and he's going to go and we're going to put the part in, and he did this and that and everything, but he still hasn't arrived yet. And now he's in real trouble. You know why he's in real trouble? Because now that if he shows up now, when my wife is there,
she's going to have a field day with him.
This is not going to be very pleasant for that guy if he does finally show up. If a lot of you say, "Oh, my wife is very nice. She's very lovely. She plays Gorilla Jeopardy, blah blah blah," but you have not seen the other Renata. When she gets angry, you don't want to be anywhere near there. I'd rather be. Let me put it this way, Joe. I'd rather be in the midst of that tornado watch in Wisconsin right now, as opposed to being at my brother-in-law's, my son's house.
Gotcha.
Where let this guy go.
Anyway. By the way, Chuck Cardillo, I saw you ask your question before about the off-the-wall PNA, the Pacific North America Index, being off-the-wall 4 standard deviations positive. Is that the reason why we keep getting these troughs in the east? And the answer is yes. Big ridge in the west, built all the way up into northwest Canada, means you have to have a corresponding trough in the eastern part of the United States, and these short waves keep dropping in one after another. And yeah, that seems to be the case. It every once in a while the pattern relaxes and then it just flexes again. I want to go back to the GFS here, Joe, because just to take everybody through the weekend and into next week, we have, of course, our front for tomorrow, and you see it here. Actually, the GFS in its own way has a rather robust-looking radar for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Then that moves out. Kind of gets breezy here during Friday with a northwest wind between the low sitting in the Gulf of Maine and the high in Wisconsin. You don't often get a gradient like this in the summertime, but you're going to get it later Friday. Friday, I think, should be like a pretty interesting day from the standpoint that I think the first part of the day may start out with leftover clouds, and then suddenly you're going to feel the humidity collapse around the middle of the day, and that carries us into Saturday, which should be delightful. Here comes the next short wave and the next chance for showers and thunderstorms. Almost looks, to its extent, it looks like what we're going to go through tomorrow. Although I wonder whether the dew points are going to have any time to climb very much between Saturday and Sunday, because we're going to be so low on Saturday. And then that front goes by, it stalls along the coast or just offshore, and then a wave, you think this was the winter time, Joe, a wave develops down in Georgia and moves up the coast just offshore. for Monday night and Tuesday. GFS has been insisting on bringing an area of rain up the coast here from this flat wave. And then after that goes out, because you still have that trough lagging back, there's more precip and energy lingering behind and hanging around along the coast pretty much all week long. So we'll see if that winds up being the case. If that trough does lag, next week is going to not be, it won't be the nicest week of the summer. Let's put it that way.
Yes, it will not be. As far as the question about whether or not we may go through a repeat of this late Sunday or Sunday night, it appears that the dew points on Sunday may not get much higher than 60 or 62 or whatever, or hovering more closer to 60. However, I am looking at the plumes, Joe.
Le plumes! Le plumes!
Yes, exactly. I'm looking at the Cape, which is always interesting to look at when you're wondering about. Now let's see. The Sunday is the 1st, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sunday's the 1st. Saturday's the 31st. Friday is the 1st. And I see that this. Well, it's the average Cape value as that system, the short wave on the front is coming through late Thursday night and Friday morning, is 1,000, and I've seen a lot higher than that. Although there are several models, more than a few, that are actually suggesting it could get as high as 2,300. So there is some suggestion that there may be some potency, so to speak, with this first system. But then on the first, I see not much at all. It doesn't show very much in the way of significant Cape for the system later on Sunday or Sunday night. So I don't know. Maybe it's a chance for a shower or a storm, late Sunday or Sunday night, but nothing to compare with what we're going to go through here later tomorrow and into tomorrow night. We'll see.
All right.
It seems like the plumes, by the way, are more in line with the worst of this coming tomorrow evening, as opposed to the GFS, who again wants to push all this through by midday or early afternoon tomorrow. The GFS, it may be an outlier, because most of the other models want to hold off on all of this, the heavy artillery, until the end of tomorrow and tomorrow night. And again, the 18Z GFS has it all rolling through midday and early afternoon. So we'll see.
We mentioned yesterday, at least with respect to the tropics, we're looking here at, those of you who have been through tropical seasons with us know that I like to pull up this map off the GFS, which shows wind shear between the 5,000 foot level of the atmosphere going all the way up to about 25,000 feet or higher. Because when you have wind shear, that usually is a hostile situation for tropical cyclone development. And if you look here on this loop, and we'll start at 72 hours, in the parts of the subtropical and eastern Atlantic, you got a lot of upper lows here that are hanging around, Joe. So with the presence of a lot of these upper lows, there's not really a whole lot of room for stuff to be able to develop. And of course, if you look at the areas where you see the yellow and orange, and that's deep in the tropical Atlantic, you've got 40 and 50 knots worth of wind shear going on in the tropical Atlantic. So, this overall environment here that we're seeing through this weekend and going into next week is not favorable really for tropical cyclone development. Now, there are a couple of tropical waves that move off, and in fact, early next week, you see there's a 10-12 low that's printed out in the tropical Atlantic here on the GFS, somewhere at around 9 points, just about 10 degrees north and 32 degrees west. But there's this hostile environment, and it really doesn't go anywhere in terms of developing. Now, finally, something else seems to come out around day 10 that starts to move along toward the west-northwest, and this would kind of fall into the time frame. I think we're going to have to wait until about after August 6th or 7th, where you start to see a bit more of a slightly more favorable look to the tropical and subtropical Atlantic. But again, there are a lot of upper lows running around, so this is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how long it's going to take for the tropics to rev up. I mean, we may have to wait till mid-August before anything has the ability to start developing. So at least for now, we're kind of in this, let's call it a peaceful place with respect to tropical cyclones. I don't think there'll be too much complaining about that if we can, put off any kind of tropical cyclone development.
Well, Joe, we mentioned over and over again looking too far down the road, and I'm looking at. This is why I scratch my head and I'm saying to myself, how valid could this possibly be? On the 354-hour GFS, this is the 18Z.
Yes.
354. That's for 12Z Thursday, August 12th.
Okay.
They have a high pressure system centered over Du Bois, Pennsylvania. You want to know how strong the high is? It's a 1030 high. When was the last time you saw?
That's pushing it, boy. For this time of year.
When was the last time you saw a 1030 high in mid-August in the northeastern United States? I'd love to see it happen because it certainly would mean great weather and cool and dry. But when was the last
you know
time
what? The thicknesses don't make any. Yeah, but I'm looking at this now, and the thicknesses don't exactly make sense. So I would think that if you had a 1030-ish high in that position at this time of year, that you probably should have at least a 558 or a 552 thickness down. I mean, there's a 558 thickness across central New York State, but I would think that you would see something a bit more impressive than that. And then looking at the upper air that matches with it, I mean, there's a trough that comes through. There's some kind of shortwave trough, but it's not like the ones that we're seeing for tomorrow and for Sunday. It's a whole lot weaker. Actually, let me just correct myself. Early on, Joe, if you look at the 500 millibar at around 280 hours, or just before that, there's a strong shortwave and upper low that moves across southern Canada near James Bay, and you look at this on the 306. I mean, I don't know why. I can't believe we're talking like this. But we're looking at this on this long range, and you see a shortwave like this, and you think, oh, you know what? There's probably a really solid, strong high behind it that's going to come in with low humidities and really cool air. But then the trough kind of lifts out and weakens before it gets here. So, yeah, and to answer your question, I don't know. I don't remember the last time we saw a 1030 high in the first 10 days of August. I don't know that I've ever seen one that at this time of year.
That storm that you mentioned near James Bay, you're right. It actually kind of, the good stuff actually shears off to our north before it ever has a chance to get here. And yet, this ridiculously high pressure zone, they have it at 1022 over the Dakotas. And normally, in the midsummer, you see strong high pressure coming from Canada and weakening as it gets into our neck of the woods. This one, according to the GFS, actually strengthens to 1030, as I said, by the time we get. And let me also point out that it looks like that as soon as that high passes over us, that opens the door for some really warm, if not downright hot weather here for, let's say, the 13th and 14th of August. And again, now we're talking really ridiculous. We're talking about like 366 hours out. But it's kind of fun to just see what the machines. That's what Tex Antoine used to call them. He didn't call them computer guidance models. He referred to them as machines. Well, we're looking at the machines right now. That's what they're saying. And that's what the machines are saying for like 12 and 14 days down the road. So
well, and there's a squall line of thunderstorms that moves through on August 10th, Wednesday, August 10th. So
okay, see?
So we'll make sure we put the watch box up now.
Right.
Thanks, Johnny Quest. I forgot to put the maps back up to show this last part here, but they're up there now, so you got them. All right, let's do a little bit of Le Jeopardy Day Brillar. Mr. Scott,
I do have it, and,
you have it, so
we'll get
the chairman sent it to you.
Yes, he did. Here's another. As he writes, and here's another world-famous, never-duplicated Briller Jeopardy movie debut for Mr. Chiappi, and he has to come within, he says, 3 years of a movie debut.
Okay.
And get 8 out of 10 correct. If you get 8 out of 10 correct, you will have you will have a feature starring role in the upcoming remake of Hitchcock's The Birds. Are they making a remake of The
They
Birds?
better not be. They better not be. I will not watch it. I don't watch remakes of original classics. They should not be redone. That's my never to be humble opinion. But go ahead, let's go. I don't know if I'm feeling it tonight, but let's go and let's see how I do.
Well, the first one is an animated motion picture, Pinocchio.
Oh God, I don't know. I have no idea. Oh Lord. 40. I'm trying to think if that came before Snow White or afterward. I don't remember. I'll say 41. 1941.
Whoa, 1940. Hey, fiddly dee, an actor's life for me. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Pinocchio. They re-released it in the early '60s. Unfortunately, when I was very young, I was a sickly kid, and I believe I had a bout with asthma at that time, and was actually in the hospital. Missed out. Never saw Pinocchio really until I myself had children, and then when my son and my daughter arrived, Disney came out. They said they opened the vault, put it on a VHS cartridge, got it, and I got a chance to sit. And actually, I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, Boomtown, Joe, number 2.
Boomtown or Boomtown?
Boomtown.
Oh, Boomtown. Oh my God. That sounds like a movie that probably was done in the early 1930s. I don't even, I recognize the title, but I can't visualize who was in the movie.
It is an American adventure film directed by Jack Conway, starring Clark Gable, Spencer Tracy, Claudette Colbert, Hedy Lamarr,
Headley.
And the supporting cast featured Frank Morgan, the Wizard of Oz, Lionel Atwill, and Chili Wills. I never heard of Chili Wills.
Yeah. All right. So Colbert, Gable, Tracy,
Headley.
I'm going to say, and Frank Morgan, I'm going to say 19. I think, I'm thinking this is a pre-1940 movie and not a post-1940 movie. What's throwing me off a little bit is Hedy Lamarr, who, by the way, I don't know if do a Google search on Hedy Lamarr. She's a fascinating woman. She was a big deal in World War II in terms of stuff that she developed some kind of device that they used during the war. I think it was, I don't remember specifically, but it's a fascinating story. So she's
yeah. It says right here, and co-invented an early version of frequency hopping spread spectrum communication.
Right, and she did it in between. She did it in between scene changes. No, stop it. But seriously, I mean, she was actually, that was what she invented was very important in the World War II effort. I'll say 1936.
Joe, you missed by one. 1940, but you're outside of the 3-year limit that Mr. Driller had put up. So you missed out on that one. Here's one. Road to Singapore.
Oh, God. Is that one of those Bob Hope movies?
I think so. I think.
While you look that up, the chairman hitting super chat. His mother had his mother Briller had her MRI today, listening to Tom Jones. Okay, that works. And results for tomorrow. So fingers crossed that everything's going to be okay. Now,
directed by Vincent Schwartzinger and starring Bing Crosby, Dorothy Lamour, and Bob Hope, based on a story by Harry Harvey. The film is about two playboys trying to forget previous romances in British Singapore, where they meet a beautiful woman. Which I'll
say 19. I never really cared for the Bob Hope movies, to tell you the truth. I'll say 1942.
You were within range. It's 1940.
Okay.
And now here, number 4, one that you and I grew up with, I think. And we were always happy when it appeared on the Saturday night at the movies or whatever. The Incredible Mr. Limpet.
The Incredible Mr. Lippet, who I don't think I've ever seen that.
Come on, Joe.
Who's
You've
in
never
it?
seen The Incredible Mr. Limpet?
Who's in it?
Well, the star of the movie was Don Knotts. And he is very big into fishes. And he has hopes and dreams that he one day could interact with the fish. And he falls into the water in Brooklyn, and he changes into a fish.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah,
and he helps win World War II.
So I'm thinking that he did that. Did he do that movie after Andy Griffith or before?
I think he was still doing Andy Griffith when he did that.
All right, so then I'll say 1963.
And you are within one. It was 1964, and it was a combination live action and animated comedy film based upon a 1942 novel, Mr. Limpet, and it's about a man named Henry Limpet who turns into a talking fish and helps the United States Navy locate and destroy Nazi submarines.
By the way,
Don Knotts plays the title character.
Bill Kennedy putting up at the beginning of World War II, Lamar and composer George Antheil developed a radio guidance system using frequency hopping spread spectrum technology for Allied torpedoes. So I think that's pretty cool. By the way, okay, go ahead. What's the next one?
Joe, also want to point out that in that movie, Mr. Limpet, Elizabeth McRae played the role of Don Knotts' girl fish friend, Lady Fish. And again, you don't see Elizabeth McRae, you just hear her voice. But if the voice sounds familiar, you may remember Gomer Pyle. Elizabeth McRae played Gomer Pyle's girlfriend, Lou Ann Poovey. So she had the distinction of being the girlfriend to both Gomer Pyle and to Barney Fife. Well, it was funny when I thought about it initially. Number 5, Airport.
Airport, 1970?
Right on the nose. And, I remember seeing that like a year or two after it debuted on a Sunday night at the movies on Channel 7, ABC. And I got to tell you, if for nothing else, the music is very dramatic.
Yes.
That really makes the movie. All right, the next one on the list is number 6. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Jimmy Stewart, Claude Rains, Thomas Mitchell,
Uncle Charlie.
William Demarest. 38.
Missed by 1, 39. 1939.
Okay.
And there's one actor that you did not mention, Beulah Bondi.
Beulah Bondi, who was also in It's a Wonderful Life.
Beulah Bondi played Jimmy Stewart's mother in 4 different movies.
She wasn't that much older than him, by the way.
Yeah.
She wasn't.
She played his mom in It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, but also Of Human Hearts and Vivacious Lady. So somebody asked her, he said, you're playing her, Jimmy Stewart's mother again. She said, I am Jimmy Stewart's mother.
Yeah.
I play every film that needs a mother. I'm the,
And if I remember correctly, I think she died kind of in a sad way. I think she was in her. I'm thinking she was in her 90s, and she tripped over her cat and fell and hit her head on the coffee table, and then wound up dying. So
she was born in 1889, and she died January 11th, 1981.
Yeah.
So she lived a pretty good, long, full life.
She sure did.
And it was, and I guess we could use the title of another movie describing her death. That damn cat, or that darn cat. Bondi died from pulmonary complications caused by broken ribs suffered when she tripped over her cat in her home on January 11, 1981. So if she didn't have the damn cat, she could have lived a lot longer.
Well, she might have, but I guess it was time. That's just an odd way to end your life, I guess.
Tripped over her cat.
Right.
All right.
Next.
So that was number 6. Number 7, Lost Horizon.
Oh God, you know what? I don't know. Lost Horizon? That's not a movie that I've actually watched, that I've actually seen. I mean, I know of it, but I don't think I've actually sat through it. So I'm going to take a completely wild guess here and say 1947.
Off by a full 10 years.
Okay.
Joe. It was 1937.
All right. Well, I knew it was an early, but I didn't realize it was that early.
Now you got to get these last 3 in order to be eligible to be in the remake of The Birds. Number 8 is Spartacus.
Which, by the way, Christinapedia said that they actually are remaking The Birds, and I will not see it. Spartacus, I'm going to say 1960.
On the nose, 1960. How about The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Ugh. Yeah, I mean, I would probably add to that The Tired, because that's what I am right now. 65.
19. That's your final answer.
65.
It's 1967, but you wrote in the 3-year, plus or minus category. Last one, number 10. This is for all the marbles, Joe. Star Wars.
1970. Shit. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. 77.
1977.
Okay.
And we will pardon that.
Yes, please, by all means.
1977. So you got 8 out of 10.
Yeah, we're starting to get to movies that in the movie list that I haven't seen but have heard of. I mean, some I've seen, but there's a few of them. We're starting to see more of these that I haven't seen. So I have to, I got to look at my Turner list and see what's going on, so I can at least watch them.
Some people get confused, like Craig Carlberg, for example, when we were talking about airport. He said, I was thinking of airplane.
Yeah, no, there was Airport, and then I think there was Airport 75, which was a sequel to it. And and then the airplane movies are actually parodies of those airport movies. So if you look at if you watch the airport movies, particularly the first one, you'll understand where the airplane humor comes from, because they're parody. I am tired. They're making fun of those the airport movies.
Best line in the airplane movie was Lloyd Bridges when he said, "I sure picked a hell of a week to stop sniffing glue."
No, yeah. Although of course there's the classic where the guy pulls off the weather map he pulls off the weather map off the die-fax machine. Right. And the guy, and he said, and what do you make of this? Oh, I can make a hat. I can make a brooch. Oh, the world we lived in. All right, time to go. So, thanks everybody for the super chats tonight. Most appreciated. Again, if you haven't done it already, the link up there is to download the free MJC Weather app, so you can watch the Joe and Joe Show live and get notifications when YouTube doesn't send them to you. I send them to you on the Meteorologist Joe Chaffee app, and it's absolutely free, so you can download it on Google Play or on the App Store. It's almost a 50-50 split tonight, Joe, on our poll. 98 votes. Severe weather Thursday with the SPC's risk of 2 to 5% for tornadoes. Will we see a tornado watch? 51% say yes. 49% say no.
Well, again, at least I will stress, whether we get a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch tomorrow here, I think will be dependent upon what the forecasters at SPC in Oklahoma see and what happens in the next few hours over Wisconsin. And if they have a lot of funnel cloud and tornado outbreaks out there, I'm pretty sure that we will be seeing tornado and not severe thunderstorm watches tomorrow.
Right, and it'll also be a good indication of just what kind of shortwave we're actually dealing with. So just one other thing before we go, a little bit of business, and that is, if I can manage to do this, because I'm always having some technical issue one way or another. The Joe and Joe Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 is the phone number. The website is omnitruevalue.com, and also wholesale holiday lighting by Giannini at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst. Holidays are coming, folks, so give them a call for a home decorating, or maybe you want to be a home decorator. 631-957-5106, 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, and the website liholidaylighting.com. So everybody will...
By the way, Joe.
Yes.
But by the way, on the chat board, Alaska Railroad.
Yes.
He's in Wisconsin tonight.
Whoa, enjoy. Enjoy.
I'm now just getting started. He said, I'm now getting storm warnings now here. Looks like it's on its way. Good luck, Alaska Railroad, and report back tomorrow night and let us know how it all turned out.
All right, everybody stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Time. Nighty-night.
Nighty-night.